Hello. Welcome to episode 16 of the Blindsided podcast. Excuse me. Today, we're going to talk about, life kind of hitting us hard and how we fall into the I can't tolerate, I can't deal. And we're just going to unpack this and take a different look at this. And, our troubles, we think of our own making. That one's a tough one to swallow, but today we're going to unpack that a little bit. Hi, my name is Charlie Collins. I am a speaker, a coach, and I am a presenter. I run half day, full day seminars and trainings inside corporate America. I'm also a best-selling author and now a podcast guy. And today with me, I shouldn't say today with me, who's with me every week.
Hi, Charlie. Thanks for the intro. My name is Brenda, and I'm the founder of timefor10.com. We are a coaching service. There's 7 of us right now, and we help people with emotional intelligence. We also help them identify their conditioned thinking by inventorying their disturbances so they can get at the exact nature of what's really going on, what's really bugging them. And we love what we do. So great to be here today.
Excellent. So, where do we start? And how do we talk about what our troubles are of our own making? What does that mean? And what am I talking about? So let me just say, if I was walking down the sidewalk and a car drove by and there was a big puddle and it went through it and the water came up and hit me all over the side, and how is that how did I create that? Or why is that, why does that fall on me? Why do I struggle because of that? Well, I think I could instantly think, what a loser. He saw me over here. He could have steered around that puddle. This affects me. It interrupts my day. I don't like feeling all wet. This is ridiculous. How come people are so evil and mean? And I could go to that place, or I could respond to the event differently. And what does that mean? So let me just go back to I can't. In that moment, sometimes I can't deal with this right now. I can't understand why people are so stupid. I can't. I sometimes will fall into that because there's a threshold that we all have. And that person that woke up this morning and got in their car and decided to drive around neighborhoods looking for me so they could drive through a puddle and hit it and laugh hysterically as I get soaked with dirty, muddy, gross water and drive away. And that isn't the truth. The truth is somebody drove through a puddle. There was an oncoming car. They couldn't swerve out of the way. They actually did slow down a little. And they had no idea the water came up as far as it did. And what is the problem? It's just water. What about the walk I'm doing? What about all the goodness that's going on?
Charlie, you're telling this story. And as you're telling the story, what's really coming into my awareness is how often we have to tell ourselves a story about something that's going on, especially if we have an emotion tied to it. Like, you're really inconvenienced in that moment that you get hit with water because the car ran over the puddle. You're really inconvenienced. That's really all that's happening. You're inconvenienced because you're wet. Did you get hurt? No. Is it the end of the world? No. What's the worst that can happen in this moment? The worst that can happen in this moment is you have to go home and change and maybe shower. Big deal. But we build a whole story around the event based on what? Based on our conditioned thinking, based on our past experiences, based on our need to be in the Ain't It Awful Club. And we've been talking about the Ain't It Awful Club for a while. Look what's happened to me again. I can't believe I'm starting my day this way. It's all of that stuff, the story we tell ourselves about events that go on.
So, but let's bring it back to, I hear you and I understand you, and I've experienced that. Like, no big deal. It happened. It's not, I don't take it personal. I know the person didn't wake up to do that. I know it's not about me anyway. I know it just happened. And I don't mind walking with a little wet clothes because I made a decision to go on a walk. But here's the deal, Brenda. We think, right? Then we choose, then we behave, we take an action. Then we create an event, and I mean an experience. We create an outcome for ourselves. And because then we move into an emotion, right? We have a feeling. So I think it's time to go on a walk. And I'm going to take the puddle out. It's time to go on a walk. Do I go now? Do I go at 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. tonight? I think I'm going to go at 4 p.m. So I made a choice. Then I took an action. I walked out the door with the dog, of course. And now I am walking and I'm enjoying my walk. Things are great. Everything's moving. And the dog is sniffing and he's having a blast. So now, what is my experience? I'm breathing in fresh air. The sun is hitting me. I'm getting vitamin D. I'm listening to the birds. I could hear the kids playing in the neighborhoods, and I'm just present. Like, this rocks. Now, then I come home, and how do I feel? Well, I think a little dopamine has been released. I feel good about thinking, choosing, following through, not fighting the thought, actually following through on it. I'm feeling good about myself. My dog is thrilled. And it's like, wow, life best lived is life by design. But
what, Charlie?
so that is great. We have like conditioned. That is a habit of mine because each day we wake up, we bring 90% of yesterday in. How do I know that? Well, from my life experience, but science now, they can actually hook up. Did you know a thought is an electrical connection? They can see the synapse in the brain. When you think positive, it shows. When you think negative, it shows. They both release because it wires. What fires together wires together. So we wake up, we might bring 90% of yesterday's bills, yesterday's struggle, yesterday's the baggage, and unconsciously we're going through the day, right? So if I'm in that space walking along and a car hits me and I'm not in what I just explained, I'm just doing a walk, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm thinking about, I got to get home, I got to do this, I got to get this. I'm never really that present. And then that happens, it's going to spike me and I'm going to get mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's interrupting your routine. And your routine, what I've come to learn in my own life is my routine is a form of control. And when I feel in control of my routine and my day-to-day activities, what do I then feel? I feel safe. I feel happy. I know what's coming, right? For me, it's all about control. And this interrupted your day-to-day routine. So what can we do about that?
What could we do? Wear rain suits.
In anticipation of what may come. That's not going to work.
We could never walk after rain when there's puddles on the road.
Nope. Try again.
We could bring BB guns. Just kidding. We could stop focusing on what could happen and get back to being present, enjoying. And if something bad, because I don't see a lot of things as bad or good, it just is, happens, just roll with it. Don't take it personal. Don't think it's the end of the world and poor me.
Absolutely. And not just don't roll with it, but we have the ability, and most people don't pause, and that's why they don't realize they have this ability. But if you just take a breath and you remind yourself that you have a choice in any given moment, whether you're going to react or you're going to respond. And we've talked before about respond and responsibility. Are you going to react or are you going to respond? And if you take that moment to pause, you can respond to the situation, kind of play the tape through, see that it's not that big of a deal that you got hit by water while you're on your walk because someone drove through a puddle, not tell a story about it. And you could even just remain in the present moment and continue on with your walk and enjoy it. And enjoy it. It does not have to affect the rest of your day or the rest of your walk. It really doesn't.
Or anybody else.
Yeah, or anybody else's. And you said something when you were talking about the cycle that we go to, and you said the word think. And that's where we have to take the pause. The minute we start thinking up here in that box that I talk about, which is so limiting, the minute we start thinking, that's when we need to stop and say, is what I'm thinking even true? Is this true? Is this that big of a deal? Am I in the present moment? Do you see where I'm going with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's, for me, there's 3 terms. There's life on my terms, right? Stop giggling. I think you can relate on Brenda's terms. So life on my terms. Oh, I mean, not easy. That means I got to arrange the lights, the ballet. That means I got to direct the people in it, the store. I am in charge of everybody and everything around me operating in a certain way so I feel good about the day. Ooh, that's a tough one. So I tried it and I get a bit resentful. I start blaming, complaining, rationalize, justifying, making excuses why I'm falling into the victim mindset, and life starts to suck. So maybe my terms aren't the best one. Then life on life's terms, a little better, for me. I mean, I get it, but I don't want life, because what's in life? Life is other people, other situations, other drivers, other dogs that maybe bark when they walk by my house or pee on my fence. But so that's life on life terms, and I can work with that a little more. But then there's a third one that I strive to be in, and that's life on God's terms, or let's call it life on universe terms, life on infinite intelligent terms, where that walk and that puddle turns into nothing but continue to maybe even laugh. That was hilarious. I mean, because I get to reflect, Brenda, back on the old me at times. Oh, I would have ripped this person apart. I don't even know if it was a boy or girl. I would have told everybody I could possibly about the loser that woke up in the morning to do this to me. I would have told how it started out like part of my left side by the 4th person. I was soaked head to toe. I would have advanced the story to make me look like the poor little soul, the blind guy going out for a walk. And this mean, that, then I could laugh at myself and say, there, but for the grace of God, I was.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love, the life on my terms. When I'm doing life on my terms, I'm completely functioning in my mind. And I already know, you said something at the beginning of the podcast, my problems are of my own making. I am the root cause of my problems, right? My problems are of my own making. That happens when I'm exerting my self-will on you, on the rest of the world, even on myself sometimes, setting expectations of myself I can't possibly meet. And the list goes on and on. That's me functioning in self-will. That's me doing life on my terms. And the life on life's terms is really letting everybody be who they are. And, I don't want to get into the whole behaviors don't define people, but letting just people go about their day and behave the way that they get to behave because they have a right to behave and do whatever they want, and not personalizing that. The person who hit the puddle wasn't out to get you. Like, it's that simple. You weren't a blip on their radar. The guy just hit the puddle. The girl or kid or whoever was driving just hit the puddle. And then the advanced state, right, which is an acceptance. There's a lot of acceptance that goes into that middle one, practicing. It is what it is, like you said earlier. It just is what it is. Life just happens. It's not about me. I'm not the center of the universe. I'm one of many. Recognizing that I'm one of many gives me so much freedom. And I'm not the center. I'm not that important. I'm not that powerful that everybody's doing these things to me. And then the last one is, the universe. We've talked before, because it's one of my favorite things in the world. The acorn doesn't have to try and be the oak tree. The embryo doesn't have to try and be the baby. All of this, the bud doesn't have to try and be the flower. Marianne Williamson says this in her Course in Miracles lectures. It all happens organically, naturally, through natural intelligence. The same natural intelligence exists for our life to be the best us we could be if we allow it to unfold. That means allowing it to unfold means letting go of that control of what happens on this routine that you do. You know, I do the same thing. I come home every day from work, I hop on the Peloton, I do a kick-ass ride. And if I'm not doing a ride, I'm doing a walk or some kind of exercise. And if I'm not able to do that, I used to get really upset. Now I just kind of roll with it. It's whatever's going to happen in a day is going to happen in a day. And there's just so much freedom in allowing it to unfold. I'm a calmer, happier person.
Wow. Yes. And people, you know, thank you for watching, coming, and you're here. And some of us, I know my old me, I didn't like when I couldn't get my heel in my shoe. I might lose it a little bit, like, you know, I mean, my threshold back before I started doing this work and becoming aware and awake to my thinking, my stress level, my anxiety, how I would blame. And I'm like, gosh, is it really this shoes manufacturing process that sucks, or is it that I won't untie it? It's not me. It's never my fault. And then it's not about fault. It's about, is this working? Is it true? No. And then I started I could giggle at myself more and more. I get to make mistakes. I get to be wrong. Whoa! I get to not know. I love it. Talk about true freedom from the bondage of self, you know?
True freedom from the bondage of self. And the other thing that comes out of moving from, or even if you're doing something as simple as navigating between life on life's terms and life on the universe's terms and letting go of your will, is you get to choose whether you want to engage with something or not. Like, you can let other people be right, even if you don't agree with them. You could just say, okay, because it's not worth the energy to get in that battle of who's right and who's not. Okay. You can just let go and actually really be okay with that and not be ruminating about it later. It's like you get to skip over the whole drama piece that happens between people and circumstances and people if you choose to. You get that choice.
I love what you just said. I like to say, because I still self-seek a bit, and I might say when that person sharing something that's wrong. And you know what, Brenda, most of the time, it's not right or wrong. It's just their opinion.
It's right for them. Yeah.
And I don't like it. So I might say, you're probably right. Or, that's an interesting way to look at it. It's wrong. I'm saying after in my own head, it's wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. And truly, I'm becoming like okay with, you know, that is an interesting way to look at it. You know, in my little paradigm, I didn't see outside it. And you just helped me see a little more. Thank you. It's okay. I don't know if it's right or wrong. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly, Charlie. And because we could only take in information and, translate it based on our own experience. How limiting is that? My own experience, one person out of 8 billion on the planet, my own experience is how I'm interpreting information and translating it. So what may feel or be wrong in my mind or heart is maybe 100% right for the other person based on their experience. I don't know what their experience is. It may be 100% right for them. So instead of focusing on right and wrong, that's that black and white thinking. I just did a really nice video on our YouTube channel at timeforattend.com on black and white thinking. If I let go of the black and white thinking and I get curious about the other person's perspective, I'm going to learn something. And until I allow that to happen, investigate the other person's perspective, I can't say if it's right or wrong. I have no idea.
Oh, so you don't have built-in AI fact checking going on all the time?
Nope.
I don't want that either. I don't need to know the absoluteness. It's like, whatever. But anyway, so the other day, I I went above my threshold. And and what I mean is just visualize like a bar, the life's journey. We're either growing. Which way is my hand going? Maybe this way.
It doesn't
Does
matter.
that look like I'm going right to you?
We do a dance.
So anyway, so just visualize a line that starts low and it doesn't have to be a sharp, like a plane taking off, just a gentle incline. That's life, like constant, never ending improvement. We've got to stay because life's happening. Things are always percolating and going on. And when we lose, when the human condition loses sight of, I got to stay on top of things. I got to I got to be emotionally aware of my thinking. I got to see what feelings go. I mean, it takes work let alone to be in a relationship and married. It takes work just to be happy with self. And if once we drop below that, because that's going to continue no matter what. And when I drop below that, I watch out, because now my radar's out. I'm looking to assign blame. I'm looking to complain. I'm looking to see who's at fault, because it can't be me, and that's scary. And the thing when life hits us hard, between death, car accidents, extra bills, air conditioners breaking, unplanned things. Again, we have this system that we live on a daily basis. And then when things present themselves that weren't in the plan or in the normal day-to-day habitual / unconscious way of living, and then if that gets presented, I got to work on that. I've got to take a look at that. I've got to, find, for me, it was recently, Brenda, my mom passed away.
Mm.
And it was devastating. And it was, it's hard to say, but she's at peace. She was suffering. I miss her terribly, but it wasn't easy. We have a big family, 4 sisters, a brother, my dad, and a lot of cousins. And oh my gosh, she had 13 grandchildren, 1 great grandkid. And, so I have that. Then last week, my cousin passed away at 62 years old. It's like life. I've had enough. And I was riding my scooter the other day. I have a scooter. It's a stand-up one. It's electric. And I zip around on it. And I was riding along at 26 miles an hour. The speed limit is 25. I saw a car come up pretty abruptly up to my tail. So I gently moved out right near the double yellow line, because I'm not breaking the law. I'm not speeding for you, and I'm not getting out of your way. I have every right to do this as you do, to be on this road. I pay taxes. So when I'm running that story, something's going on. And so, man, I kept looking in the mirror like, don't try, because if he tried to pull out and pass me, I would have nailed it and made it harder on him. And nailed it on my electric scooter means, 40-something miles an hour. Woohoo! But anyway, and as I came to my house and I pulled in the driveway, he slowed down and hollered, "Stay off the road!" And I clicked. All right, my teeth. I yelled something I'm not proud of, and I spun my scooter around. I was in the fastest gear, and I got into a tucked position. I chased at him. Full speed down. I was speeding down the road. I was fuming. I was not in control anymore. Something triggered in me. And I'm glad I didn't catch him. I mean, this is scary. I was actually like, okay. And then getting closer. He's at a stop sign. He goes. I didn't even stop. I just went flying through to catch this guy. And then I let go. I let go of the throttle. What am I doing? I could hurt somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy could have a gun. He obviously has problems to yell at some poor old man on a scooter. But it was me who really took it. That guy was taken off because he saw a maniac coming after him. Yeah. And I came back home, and Molly heard me. She's like, who are you yelling at? I'm like, that loser. So I hadn't completely come down. But then I noticed, like, I went to open the door and I'm like, come on. I realized that my threshold, I'm bound, you know what I mean? Brenda, I'm not spiritually fit. I've got some more work to do. And I recognized it yesterday and I said to Molly, oh, I'm getting mad easy. I'm maybe a little difficult on you. I know I'm difficult on me. And it isn't real bad, but unrecognized, talked about. I did a 10 with you yesterday. And I needed to talk things out because I was starting to get more tunnel vision and only see I was starting to feel like I was a victim, like people were out to get me, and that's a lie.
Yeah. Charlie, this is exactly the kind of thing that we work through with our coaching service on Time for a 10 is when people have we work through all kinds of things, but we get a lot of calls from people that have an acute moment, like you're explaining, where they were so triggered in that moment, they didn't recognize themselves. Just like you were saying, I didn't recognize who I was. I was acting like a maniac. What if, how could I have done this? I put myself at risk. I could have, what if he had a gun, right? None of those things came into your awareness. And when you said, I have more work to do, I want to challenge that a little bit. When you have things like death, and you've had two significant deaths in the last month happen in your family, when you're faced with that kind of grief, that's a traumatic experience. And trauma, the best description of trauma that I've ever heard, Dr. Mitchell Saskin, he's a professor of mine at Columbia, he said, trauma is temporary separation from spirit. That's what happens when we experience trauma. And that creates an energy in our body that if we don't allow it to express and release, will come out in other ways. And it won't take much for that to get triggered, for you to get activated, that amygdala to get activated because you're afraid. When we lose people, there's such a sense of powerlessness in the loss. They're gone. One day they're here and the next day they're gone. And you will never see them again. And that's a horrifically traumatic experience. And experiencing the grief takes a period of time. And until that grief is experienced and released, we are prone to having episodes like the one that you had. And it's I don't want to minimize it, but it is normal to have that kind of overreaction to somebody not behaving on the road when you're dealing with grief. So the first thing that I want to say about that is self-compassion, is to be self-compassionate with yourself and understand that this is the position that you're in right now, that you're experiencing grief, and you're not going to be your normal, bubbly, patient, tolerant, kind, and loving person that you normally are, because you have this grief energy in you that's trying to express its way out. And to be patient and tolerant with yourself while you go through that. Now that you know that you're in this place, you'll be able to pause and say, oh, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Is it the guy who's not behaving on the road? Why am I even paying attention to him? Is it him, or is it something else going on inside of me? And instead of reacting like you did the other day, you'll do a 10. You'll do a 10, or you'll call a coach, or you'll work through it and not end up having the experience that you had. And then, a lot of times those experiences will last a whole day. We'll take it out on the people around us. And that's exactly what you did. When you got back from that scooter ride, you got on the phone and you worked it out with a coach. Good job, Charlie.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Brenda, too, then I started thinking, how do I know that guy needed to get around me because his child was at a play date and it was sick or got hurt on the playground, or I don't know the story. I don't need to assign that he's just in a state like me, like he's reacted and he wants to run me off the road. I have no idea. Maybe his wife was in the passenger and she was delivering. I don't know what was going on because I was only thinking of me.
Right.
Until afterwards when I got below that, and you said that, I love that. Isn't that what a spiritual malady is? It's really trauma.
Yes, it's exactly what it is.
Disconnect from our higher self. I had no connection to that on the scooter.
Right. When Dr. Saskin said that, it was at the summer intensive last year. Literally burst into tears. That is the answer I've been looking for my entire life. That perfectly describes how I feel or how I felt when I experienced trauma. And so it's a matter of reconnecting to your spirit by allowing that energy to express itself, which is another way of saying, feel it, feel it.
And just, I mean, we're all born with that. I mean, it's undeniable that that universal, that spirit connection is a part of who we are, no matter what. And I know for me, it was blocked by many things, and it was mostly life on Charlie's terms wasn't allowing me to access that spirit within me, that reasoning, that wisdom, that thing that allows me to pause and reflect and say, is this true? Is this working for me? Do I want to continue down this path? No. Can I do something different? Can I ask for help? Yes. And it's like, I didn't have that.
No.
That isn't rocket science. That's spirit coming to and saying, let's work on this. And actually, you need to work on it with a coach or do something else. I mean, the best of the best have coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've talked about it 100 times. A conditioned mind can't fix a conditioned mind. You can't fix you. It's a collaboration. So you get different insights. And you get to work with people who have experienced the same thing and have gotten to the other side of it. And you could teach them as well. It's a collaboration. So Charlie, there's quite a few comments coming in. I'm going to read a few of them.
Please do it.
So I want to say hi to everybody that's in the chat, and thank you for putting your comments in. We love to read them. So several people are saying good morning to all of you. Life on our higher powers terms from Trish. Cassidy says, there, but for the grace of God, go I. And grief energy. I hadn't thought of this. Pause. I need to do this more often. Yeah, grief is a form of energy. All feeling is a form of energy, which is really important to know. And you can move it out of your body by learning some simple exercises to do that. Amelia says, good morning. Carrie says, good morning. Hi, Carrie. Trish, hello. Cassidy. Okay. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. And in the thumbnail of our event today, whatever this is, the podcast, I put I can't versus I won't. And I just want to put this towards I can't is what happened on the scooter. Like I can't deal with, I couldn't see outside of, and something happened. And the old me would, I won't deal with this. I won't resolve this. I will hold on to this and I will share it with the community of the world. Anyone that will listen to me, what this guy did, the puddle person or the guy that tailgated an old man on a scooter. I will share and I will amplify the story, making me look like the victim in this situation when I had full responsibility of my part in this. So this I can't versus I won't moves into I will take the time to take a look at this. I will pause. I will reflect. I will ask for help. I will notice that I have a part in this, or that it isn't always outside of me. Maybe my troubles are of my own making. I don't like that, but I do the more I live free.
Yeah. Our troubles are of our own making as a result of our thinking. I started this book on neuroplasticity, and it's a book that was written a while ago, but it continues to be a bestseller every year. And one of the things I'm learning from that book is what we tell ourselves is what will be. So if you tell yourself, I can't, then guess what? You can't. If you tell yourself, I won't, then guess what? You won't. If you change the narrative, if you change the self-talk narrative, you will have a completely different experience, even if you don't necessarily believe it to begin with. There's an old saying in in where, the program that you and I have been through, which is fake it until you make it. And that really works. Like, you may not necessarily believe it initially, but as you start practicing the positive psychology, you're like, wait, I can handle this. Yes, I can do this. It might feel difficult or scary. It might feel uncomfortable. I might not feel like I have control, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. One of the things I say on a regular basis, because I had such an unsafe childhood, and that's still swimming around in my subconscious brain. It's not in my awareness, but it's in my subconscious brain. So I frequently say to myself, you're safe. You're safe in this moment. You're safe. You're safe. And it really works. Because really, I know I always seem like I'm dumb, but I'm not. Really, most of these things that we react to are fear-based reactions. We're afraid. We're being triggered because we're afraid. We're afraid. We're afraid. So saying I'm safe, I'm okay, it's going to work out, really does help.
Brenda, you said it always seems like I'm done, but I'm not. Was that directed at me?
No, it's directed at me because I pause and then something else comes in and I have to get it out.
Okay, good. I thought you might have been reading my face thinking, is
No.
she ever going to
No.
shut up?
No, no, because you have that face all the time, Charlie.
Oh, I do not.
No, you don't. I'm playing with you.
Good, because I'm listening, and it's so funny, the mind. So and I used to, in my events, I would say, name 3 things you can't do. And Henry Ford is, if you believe you can or can't. You're right. It's that simple. But so I would say, I give examples. I can't get to the bottom of my inbox. I can't seem to stay working out 3 days a week. And I can't seem to find the time to call my siblings on a weekly basis and stay connected to them. And then I would then turn it over to the group and I'd say partner A, partner B. Now, partner A would have to say 3 things. Do you have 3 things that you seem to struggle, like I can't get to, I can't complete or something, Brenda?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing is I insist on having an hour sitting in front of the TV at night with a snack before I go to bed. And the kind of snacking that I'm doing is not healthy snacking. And I'm bothered by that. And as much as I keep saying I'm not going to have pretzels, Quest chips, and rice cakes all mixed together tonight, and it's delicious, by the way, I have them. And it's really bad food. It's full of chemicals. It's not good for me. I don't feel good after I eat it. Yet every night I sit in front of that TV and give myself, I deserve this. I give myself that hour in front of the TV with that unhealthy snack that doesn't make me feel good. And I say, tomorrow I'm not going to do this. That's one thing.
Well, may I just say one thing? I am so telling Stan on you.
Please don't tell Stan.
I hope you're watching, Stan.
No, he's not. He's in Florida. Please.
Well, I'm going to send him that clip alone, but go on. So I can't seem to stop eating when I watch Netflix or something on TV at night. Oh, I can relate. So then I switch the group and I say, let's change that. I can't get to the bottom of my inbox to I won't get to the bottom of my inbox. Now, you and I were talking off camera and you're like, but I don't need to get to the bottom of my inbox. I said, forget it then. That's not fair. So most of us struggle when we open the inbox and it has 3,300 things. Mine doesn't, but I know people that just leave them in there forever, and that would stress me. And that's okay with them, and I don't get it. But most people think I'd like to have a clean inbox, but I can't get to the bottom of it. It's just that I won't. It's okay. Do I accept that, or do I actually think I should do this, but I'm not willing to do the work to do it? And then I won't get to the gym 3 times a week. Could I? Absolutely. Yes. But I just won't. And I won't, make the time. I won't put it on my calendar. I won't do what I really need to do to reach out to my siblings. Do I even want to? Of course, siblings, I do. But I'm saying these are the things I started getting clear on. Why am I beating myself up and saying I can't do it? when really I won't. And why won't I? Well, it's not that important to me. I just have this vision that I have to be perfect. Things need to be right. I got to show up a certain way. I just need to show up as me.
Yeah. Yeah. With all the assets and all the defects all bundled up in one.
Warts and all.
Can you imagine if every single person on the planet didn't have defects, right? If we were all the same, how boring it would be. For me, it's about making a decision. I need to make a decision. And I really, if I'm honest with myself, and I'm rigorously honest with myself today, I love that snack. I have not made the decision to give it up. And once I do make the decision to give it up, and I'm pretty close, I'm going to buy vegetables today when I go shopping. And for this next week, I've set one small goal that at least 3 times next week, I will substitute that snack with broccoli and honey mustard and see how that works for me. A small change, not this big, huge, I'm never going to do it again, because that's setting myself up for failure, but a small change to try something different. And if I don't like the broccoli, I'm going to try something else. So it's about making a decision. We're kind of getting flooded with comments here. So before they flash off the screen. So Michael says, I can't find any serenity until I accept a person, place, or puddle, until I accept the situation as being exactly the way it was supposed to be. I'm with you 100%. An uncomfortable challenge by the spirit of the universe. Absolutely. That's why I always preach about curiosity. Be curious when you're uncomfortable with something. My negative reactions are mostly ego-based. Whoop, whoop. Spot on. Our troubles are of our own making because of our thinking. Trish is saying that's powerful. And that it reminds her of William O'Neill of Investors Business Daily, always saying, how you think is everything. Michael saying, have a great day. Someone else is saying they love the quotes by Henry Ford. Okay, we're good.
And of course, it always brings us to this.
Yeah, for sure.
And for those of you that might be like me, I again have flashed up this serenity prayer, that we are talking about what we can change, and the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference, because, I'm not going to change the puddle splasher, but I am going to change my response and how I look at it.
Yeah, that's all we have control over is our thinking, our behaviors. That's it. Nobody else's.
Brenda.
Charlie.
Last night, I went and had 3 sticks of celery with guacamole as my snack. And then about 20 minutes after that, I thought, that's not fair. I needed it. Then I went and had a Klondike bar. And then I'm like, I will eat myself to death if I'm not careful. So I think you and I might be setting up some accountability for our nightly
I would love an accountability buddy on this. And I want to say one thing about that thinking. If I really stop and think about the thinking, right? Metacognition, we're going to think about the thinking. Yeah. My thinking says and this is what I say, I deserve this. I worked hard all day. I had clients tonight. I did stuff for my kids. Whatever it is I did, I will make a list of all the things that I did to be of service, or because I had to, like work, right? And I will use that as justification for doing something that I know is not good for me. And I call it, I deserve this. Think about that thinking. Doesn't make any sense when I think about that thinking.
I know. So yesterday morning, we'll round this up here, but yesterday morning I got up early. I did all my morning pre-flight. I did some meditation, some affirmations, some prayer. I connected. I did all this, and then I went into a sales meeting. I'm consulting for a company. I went in for a good hour or more, and then I had a really good call with to pitch a couple ideas with some business, and then I went into a mental health summit. And I was one of the speakers. I spoke to 692 people through through Zoom, but they were there. And I got to do a presentation and help inspire and empower people. Then I went into a virtual room for the Thriving Blind Academy, which I'm a co-founder of, and people were all coming in and asking questions and saying how my presentation helped them. And it's all great. I was glad to be there, and then it ended at 4:00, and so you damn well better believe I deserve the Klondike bar.
Look at all you
the back rub. I mean, but I love that. We're gonna have to. That's gonna have to be one of our topics. I deserve it. Damn it.
Yep. And I'll eat so healthy all week long. I do really well. During the, I have a shake for breakfast. I have a tofu thing for lunch, and then bam. Anyway, we could do a whole podcast on this. I want to give a shout out to Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Before we sign off the podcast.
I know Carrie, Trish, Mike. I believe Kate is here. I hope my brother's on from Colorado. Hi, Cassidy. Molly, you're listening upstairs. All right. I don't want to there's people watching this that don't know the heck who I'm talking about. Like, geez, this is weird. Brenda, thank you for today. That was insightful, enlightening, and again, helping open me up to see more clearly.
Me too, Charlie. Great podcast. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you next Saturday or sooner. Of course, like, subscribe, and share, and bye-bye.